friends, I've got a really busy day in the kitchen planned today. My sister and her family are coming for a few days over the summer, and I want to fill up the freezer with as much as I can so I don't have to cook at all while they're here and I can just enjoy their company. So they've got 3 boys, we've got 4 children, there's my sister and her husband, possibly my mum and my niece coming too, so there's going to be a lot of people here. There's going to be a lot of food being eaten, so I'm hoping to get 3 full meals in the freezer today. Mediterranean chicken, chili and sweet and sour pork. I'm also going to try and do some sourdough loaves, possibly some banana bread. Hopefully I'll get it all done. I'm not sure at all that I will, but I'm going to give it a go. I milled all of the flour that I need this morning, so now I'm just going to get the flour soaking in the water so I can make my bread later. I'm making 4 loaves of bread here because I need some bread for us for the week too. And this last recipe is pizza bases, so I'm just going to add a little bit less water than I would do for a normal loaf so that it's easier to roll out. Cleaning up as you go is really important when you're having a busy day in the kitchen like this. While my flour and water are soaking together, I'm going to get on and prepare the vegetables for my meals, but I'm going to do that off camera because this is really boring. So I'm going to get on now and finish making my bread. So here are the 4 sourdough loaves. And I'm going to be adding 500 grams of starter. This is the pizza dough and I'm adding 240 grams of starter and 20 grams of salt. Mix that all in. I found this recipe on Tasty years ago and it is absolutely my favourite. Now I don't do the deep frying, I just marinate the pork and then fry it up in the pan without the coating. But marinating the pork before doing the sauce makes a huge difference and it makes this very, very delicious meal. I've made this before for my sister and her family and they loved it the last time, so I'm excited to make it for them again. This sweet and sour pork recipe is very easy. I'll link the recipe in the description box below for you. I'm going to leave this meat to marinate for about half an hour or as long as I can, and while it's marinating I'm going to get on with some other things. I have the recipe for Mediterranean chicken over on the blog, so I'll link that in the description box below. The only thing that I'm doing differently today is I'm using skinless and boneless chicken thighs because they're going to take up a lot less room in the freezer. I'm going to go about 3 onions. So remember, I'm making this for a lot of people. I'm going to let these vegetables cook down until they're nice and soft, and I'm going to fry the chicken in the cast iron skillet. Throughout the day I'm going to be doing stretch and folds on these different bread doughs, and that will just help to strengthen the gluten. Now back to the Mediterranean chicken. Once the chicken is nicely browned, I'm adding it to the vegetables, carrying on browning the rest of the chicken, and then I will add the liquid to the meat and the vegetables. So I'm adding a couple of tins of tomatoes, and I'm just going to swill the tins out with some water, not too much because we don't want too much liquid in here, but I like to get every last bit of tomato out of the tin. Then I'm adding some herbs. You can use fresh if you've got them. I was just adding the dried herbs that I had to hand. And of course you mustn't forget to season really well with salt, because that will make a lot of difference. The pork has been marinating and you can see that it's changed colour already. So now I'm going to fry it off in a pan. I'm going to do it in batches so as not to overload the pan, otherwise the meat will give out a lot of water. And while that is frying, I'm going to fry off some onions, some carrots, some peppers, and make the sauce. We're trying to avoid sugar as much as we can at the moment, so I'm using honey instead of sugar, but I am going to be using some ketchup, which I know does contain quite a lot of sugar, but it's a bit of a treat. We don't have this every day, and to be honest, the kids really enjoy this meal. The sauce is really easy to make. You just mix together the different liquids and then add it to the meat and the vegetables and let it cook down a bit. If you like, you can also add a bit of cornstarch to help thicken the sauce. Now for some banana bread. I find that I'm making this a lot on my videos at the moment, but it really is an excellent recipe. This is from the Clever Carrot, and I'll link it in the description box below. I'm making double quantities here because I know this is going to go down a treat and we'll be able to have it for breakfast or for snacks. I'm using my stand mixer today because there's so much batter in there, but it's very easy to make by hand too. I like to mix together the wet ingredients and then add the dry ingredients. So because I'm doing it in a stand mixer, I'm adding the dry ingredients a little bit at a time. I'm using freshly milled einkorn flour today. It's going to go in the fridge to ferment overnight and I'll bake it tomorrow. Now I'm chopping and changing between the different recipes a lot today, but that was the kind of day that it was. This last thing that I'm doing is adding some pineapple to the sweet and sour pork, and that really adds a lot of flavour, a lot of sweetness, and makes the dish really delicious. The third meal that I'm making is chili con carne, or ground beef chili, and I have a recipe for that over on the blog too, so I'll link that below for you. It's very easy, especially when I'm making it in the Instant Pot. Now for some reason the saute function wasn't working on my Instant Pot this particular day, so I had to fry the meat in a cast iron skillet. So when that was nicely fried, I added all of the ingredients to the Instant Pot and let it cook for about half an hour. This is a really good meal to make if you've got a lot of people, because it goes really far, especially if you serve it with rice and different toppings. I let all of the different dishes cool down and then I added them to freezer bags ready to go in the freezer. And I like to make sure that the bags are really flat so they stack nicely in the freezer and I can grab exactly what I need when I need it. Now this is much later on that same day. I'm shaping the loaves and I'm going to put them in the freezer to do a cold ferment, and I'll bake them in the morning. I put the pizza dough in the fridge overnight to ferment, and now I'm going to roll it out and par bake it. I like doing it this way because it's a lot easier to bake a pizza when the dough is par baked, even though I know that's not the traditional way to do it. But I find it a lot easier, quicker, and a lot less messy, especially when you've got a lot of people around. This will make it possible for us to have a pizza dinner ready in no time. The banana cake is ready to go into the oven, and this will bake for about an hour at 180 degrees Celsius. Thank you for following along with me today. I hope I gave you some ideas of some easy meals and snacks that you can pop in the freezer and have ready if you have guests over, or even just to make life a little bit easier for you and your family over the summer. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, and why don't you leave me a comment and let me know what you like to have in the freezer on hand for your family. And if you'd like to see more homemade food from scratch, allergy-friendly meal ideas and plenty of sourdough, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye!